here, just to show off, this is the gear page. This is effectively where you customize your Byuk, if you will, in terms of outfit, gear, and so on. So at the bottom there, we have the elements that we can craft. Sure. So these are things that enhance your stats, like health, melee damage, range damage, things like stealth damage. So for example, here we have the Hidden Blade. Luckily, we have enough resources to craft the next level up for this. So this enhances the damage, which you can see at the bottom. And this is a way to be able to get that one-shot kill on your enemies through the RPG system. We have more crafting material here. For example, we can see that the health is increased. And so the crafting element is really there to enhance the rest of it, like the shields, the melee weapons, and so on. You can, spin the camera around just to see what Byuk looks like. We have a ton of stuff inside cosmetics and outfits. Here we have what the default Byuk, but here we'll put on a different outfit just to kind of show something different. We'll put a lot of effort into outfits. I think later people will see more really cool outfits and how far we play with that. But I think we're good. Maybe we'll go to abilities. Yeah, sure, why not? Just to show. The way we think about abilities, it's kind of a graph with kind of flavors. So you can see Hunter, Warrior, Seer. The idea being that the Warrior tree obviously is more related to combat. Hunter tree is more related to either ranged combat or stealth. And the Seer is a mix of stealth and, let's say, manipulating the environment to get what you want. So yes, this is where we have animal taming. This is where we have the dawn and dusk, which allows you to change night and day, which does have a big impact in terms of stealth, and maybe we'll see that a bit later on.
Can you tame a hippo?
You absolutely can tame a hippo.
Excellent.
And it's
excited.
Quite wild. It's super cool. Here we have a lion in the video, but a hippo would have been a good idea, maybe. So I think we're okay.
I think we're ready.
You want to buy? Okay, you want to buy another ability?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay. Oh, Senu harass. Okay, perfect.
So that you can send her at a guard and it sort of like distracts them? Or
yeah, so that one ability, Eagle Harass, it has two functions. One is, yes, when you're flying with Senu, you can target a guard and have her harass him so you can sneak up to them or have them turn around. There's a lot of stealth you can do just with that ability. And passively, now Senu will come while you're on combat and help you harassing a guard who might be far away from you or an archer, just to give you that extra little support. She's a sweetheart. She's a sweetheart.
I love Senu.
We also have a question from the chat. They want to know if outfits only affect cosmetics. This question comes from Chaos Rain.
Yes, this was a reflection we've made off previous Assassin's Creeds. We saw a big disparity between people who want better stats, better gear for gameplay reasons, but people also wanting to have whatever look they want to have. So we separated the concepts. The outfits are really cosmetic. So you can put on whatever outfit you want, and it's not going to necessarily change your stats. We felt that it was better, allow people to get their stats through weapons, shields, crafting, and leave the outfits for really cosmetic stuff, what you want to look like. Yeah,
style is very important.
Absolutely.
The most important. So I think we want to try a little bit of a stealth approach here. Yes, Miriam? You ready to go? So we have a little bit of a smaller camp here, so we're going to highlight sort of how you can use Senu to scout and sort of maybe different approaches you can do to stay hidden and still assassinate.
Yeah, and here we can see different things. There's a hippo marching into the camp.
It doesn't look very happy.
This one is not safe, though.
So there's actually a hippo attacking the camp. That was... honestly, for the people at home, that was not set up. This is the life that's in Egypt. We really wanted to make sure that whether it's animals or civilians or guards, that they have agendas and needs and wants, and that all this stuff kind of crisscrosses over one another. Literally here, it's probably a hippo from the river that these guards aggressed somehow, and sadly they seem to have killed. So now they're kind of getting back into their position, but. We have them, they're still agitated. Yeah, oh boy.
A whole army.
You might not need to do any work here. The hippos might do it all for you.
Exactly. and this is part of the fun. We fully accept that the world is living. These guys are, they're so worried that they actually lit the brazier. I just noticed it in the back. It's actually lit, which is calling for reinforcements. So Miriam, good luck. Your work is cut out for you. So even if the hippos take out some guards, their nearby reinforcements are coming. We see those guys in the back.
Oh, no.
Those are coming because of the lip brazier. So good luck, Mary.
This is absolute chaos.
I didn't do nothing yet. Darn. And they saw me. No.
Oh, no.
Oh boy.
So by stealth, we meant hippo
Okay.
strat.
Yeah,
Exactly.
the hippo strategy did not work out on this one.
Okay, I'm just gonna let them fight it off.
Yeah.
And, yep.
We can reset the loops. No, but this is something we really wanted, that the world was really felt living, that it wasn't events that are spawned just around you to kind of make you feel like it's living. It's that they actually, this stuff is even happening kilometers away. And we needed that because with Senu you can see so far into the world.
Right.
We wanted that players can see these kind of opportunities at long distances to either try to approach them ahead of time or even to approach the aftermath, which might be, you know, let's say a bunch of loot is laying there for you because some guards got killed or animals got slaughtered, sadly. But it was important for us that the world felt like it was really living on its own and providing you with opportunities.
It seems like the experiences you'll have player to player will vary pretty differently just based on random circumstances.
Absolutely, that's what we hope for. And we hope that this, you know, I mean, we try to make sure that this also impacts the quests. So even when you're playing a quest where you have a named character that needs to do something, that by going on this journey with them, that based on what's happening in the world, it can drastically change. You know, we sometimes have a quest where it'll ask you to bring someone somewhere, they might be hurt, and you can do that with, let's say, any vehicle you have, any opportunity. I've had situations where I've decided, you know what, I'm going to carry this guy on a chariot. But chariots,
cool.
they're more military vehicles, so getting a chariot can be quite difficult. So I had this fun adventure trying to get a chariot so I can transport someone. And we hope that people find their own, you know, little stories, little anecdotes for these moments.
We also have a question from BPR Gaming in the chat who asks, with the new RPG elements of the game, what did you change within the stealth element to make it feel like AC, but also add a bit more to the system?
Ooh, okay, good question. So, I mean, the first thing we started thinking about is if we want to embrace the RPG element, what do we do about assassinations and the hidden blade? And for us, we wanted to assume that RPG element, which meant that you cannot bypass the progression. If you are meeting enemies, it's not necessarily that they're higher level, it's that they just have so much, let's say, hit points and armor and defense that you just need to do more damage to them. We accepted the fact that you have to craft your hidden blade. Having said that, in my recent playthrough, I decided I wanted to do a playthrough that was more stealthy, more using bows and the hidden blade. And just by focusing on crafting, I'm able to keep up with one-shotting enemies as I'm playing through the quest lines, through the side quests. So we wanted to make sure that stealth damage as a stat, if you will, was part of the progression. That you had things you can craft that were really linked to you being more stealthy, and you have a lot of abilities that are linked to stealth. I mean, Miriam was looking at it a bit earlier. The graph is out there, so people can take a look at the graph. But there's a lot of abilities linked directly to stealth.
Like the chain kill assassination.
Like the chain kill.
I hope I can do that. It looks really cool.
Miriam,
No
we'll try to stress
No pressure.
her capacity.
Nothing works like it's supposed to be. But yes.
But we got to show the hippos, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we
Hippos are
moved.
awesome.
So we've escaped from a small camp that was supposed to give us a
Yeah.
little taste to one of the biggest forts we have in the game. So now there's a lot of stuff in this area. There's braziers for alarms. That, by the way, we can booby trap those, which we should
booby
try at
traps.
some point.
So what happens when they booby trap? Does it?
Oh, but I think we have to see
Oh,
it.
okay.
To
Sorry,
see the,
guys, I'm
I
getting
mean,
ahead of
it's
myself.
no, but effectively everything that is there for the AI to use, the player can use. So, for example, there's ballistas. There's the braziers that is a kind of an alarm, but you can actually use it to your advantage. You can even light it to actually have reinforcements come in, which is a tactic we expect players to start doing later in the game when you have these sort of bounty hunters chasing after you and you feel strong enough to take them on. One
like,
of the easiest
"Come and
way to
get
get
me."
exactly call them out.
That's bold.
And they have some of the best loot in the game, so
Oh, really?
their weapon, you can get their weapons. I expect that people will start playing with that. But here we have a massive fort.
Massive.
Absolutely massive
Cannot
fort.
emphasize how big this fort is, Miriam.
But we
And here we
found
can see
it.
in the back, people can see that doorway next to the cursor, just on the cursor now. By using Senu, you can find secret entrances to these types of locations. There's a lot of secret entrances. In this one, it happens to be, let's say, a cavern that leads you into the well of the forest. So it's
So you
directly
can climb
tied to
up
the, it's
into
directly
it?
tied to the level design. So okay, so perfect. Miriam's gonna use it. But this is something that players can assume. You can charge into a place if you want,
Sure.
if that's your approach. If you take a bit of time to scout, there's value in doing that. You can find these kind of cool opportunities to be able to really sneak into the heart of the base and bypass some of the changes.
Oh, an alligator. Great.
But that's the thing. The world is really, we didn't, you have to pay attention to the world you're in. Egypt was, at this time, a very dangerous place. So yes, in this place, I can tell you that we didn't even spawn an alligator there. He probably just made his way through the river to the spot.
He's
so cool.
living his life in
quite
his
awesome.
alligator home,
Yeah.
and we just roll up in here.
Interrupt his daily
So
business.
sorry, alligator.
Going back to the hidden blades you were mentioning earlier, we have a question from Net Magetsu in the chat who asks, will each hidden blade look different visually? And they mentioned that they noticed the store prop for Origins has twin blades.
Yes, so all the crafting, so for the breastplate, the bracer, the stabilizer, the hidden blades, every crafting level has its own visual.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Ooh.
And NyQuil and Chill, that's a really great username.
That's a great name.
Would like to know, are there going to be ship battles similar to AC3 or AC4?
Yes, there will be the larger ship battles. It's not the scope of Black Flag. Black Flag was really about that.
Sure.
But yes, we wanted to have some kind of return of like this really great system. It's fully justified, but we don't want to ruin the surprise. There is some surprises in how that plays out into the game. But yes, we will have some.
course.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
Ship battles are my favorite. The real question is, will we have sea shanties again? That's my priority.
Stream exclusive.
So there are some surprises when it comes to that naval element for sure.
Oh, God.
I don't want to. It's not sea shanties per se. But how about we get back to stealth?
Maybe we're gonna grill you.
Speaking of stealth, Warmer String 742 wants to know if we can kill cards while they're sleeping at night.
Oh well,
Nice.
hey, what an
Well,
amazing
that's-
segue! Wow,
Your
bravo.
timing could not have been better.
Not only can you, should you.
So what we saw here, just so people clearly understand what happened. So as a player, you have the ability to kind of make time go forward a little bit. So let's say it's Byuk kind of chilling, relaxing for an amount of time. Putting a situation like this, a base like this at night, yes, there is a guard swap. Some guards will go to sleep. It doesn't mean that at night it's always easier. Different things happen depending on the fort, depending on the types of enemies you're after, but definitely the night and day switch is an important one to the game. It has a big effect in stealth. So here we saw, this dude he was going to bed, but I think Miriam
Did you just
whistled.
whistle at him? What could it be? Get him.
Oh.
Well done.
So with the other body, I saw a prompt above it, and it got a little bit. It
Yeah,
has some, like,
it
smog
got
over it?
poison. Yeah.
Poison. Okay.
So if other enemies go close to him, will get poisoned too.
Oh, so you
Oh.
can
Yeah.
use that also as a
Yeah,
strategy.
poison is another strategy. Here we'll see this guard maybe wanting to invest. Oh, you whistled again?
Are you whistling?
Yeah, because you was going to see the other body.
Let him go get poisoned.
Oh,
Okay,
that's
anyway,
right.
it's okay. Okay, take him out. Take
We're
him
really
out.
going to highlight the whistle feature here on the stream.
You can hide.
This is the death closet.
Yeah, exactly. A horrible closet. Why did they put this here?
Yeah, Ash, why did they?
They needed to change. You know, there was modesty in Egypt.
Indeed. Yes.
So poison, as an example, yes, it's a stealth tool. Bodies, you can carry them, you can move them, you can hide them in things like these closets or in haystacks or in stalking zones. But you can actually carry a poison body. You can throw it at enemies.
Directly at an oncoming enemy.
No.
Absolutely,
Oh,
you
that's
can.
the best.
So
Go
there's
Senu.
Senu. So there's
Go
Senu
Senu,
helping
go.
you out during the fight.
Oh, she's so talented.
Yeah, she's a sweetheart. She's amazing. I love Senu. But back to the poison body really quick. You can put it on a horse if you want, or on a camel. Put it on the back of a camel.
You're speaking
Make
my
that
language.
camel go through a camp, which will cause a ruckus, a chaos in the camp, and it'll potentially spread that poison across. There's a lot. We wanted to have a lot of stuff mixing together. So this guy was running to one of the braziers actually.
Well, it's a good move,
If
you
we had
got him.
booby-trapped it, that would have been fantastic.
Yep.
Miriam.
You can be so creative
Don't
here. I love
backseat
it.
Byuk her, okay? All right? Let her play her way.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have another question from Mezzo Gaming in the chat who says, will we be able to enjoy the environment and nature without fighting? Stay tuned because we'll have some more information about the Discovery Tour later on. And they also want to know if there will be side missions.
Oh, yeah. Side quests. We've exploded the way we've done missions, the concept of missions. We don't even call them missions anymore. They're quests. The idea being that a quest, encapsulates a story, and you can have many of these stories all running at the same time. There's no limit to the amount of quests you can have.
Nice.
So the world is filled with quests. We wanted that it was a mix of gameplay and story and narrative. That you meet these wonderful characters. So, for example, in this fort is called Nikyu Fort, and in Nikyu Fort there's a few quests that take you here. So the world is filled with side quests. Again, it's a good way to, let's say, get exposed to not only the stories of Egypt, but who is Byuk as well. So sometimes he will help people as a Magi. Sometimes it'll be from a personal connection to a character that he might have known, in a time period before the game.
Right.
And so you get to see a little bit about his history, people he meets in this world, and so on. So yeah, the world is filled with side quests.
That's great. This sounds like it's going to consume multiple hundreds of hours of my time, and I couldn't be happier about it.
I sincerely hope so. Yeah, no, we wanted Egypt to shine, and we wanted that the stories of Egypt to also shine, and we felt that Quest was we're not necessarily inventing anything with the concept of quests. We have our own spin on what is a quest for sure, and especially with the AI systems we have, it has its own flavor, but we felt that quests as a structure allowed us to tell tons of unique stories about Egypt. So here we can even see that for the people who actually love the climbing, the parkour, every type of these types of locations like the Sneaky Fort, it's been completely thought of from a stealth perspective, from a navigation perspective. So you can actually scale and parkour on the high level or the outside of this whole location all the way around. So for the people who want that, more classic assassin approach, where you're the predator on top, hunting your prey, that's a valid approach. The level design has been iterated on so many times to make sure that we have as many possibilities to take on such challenges.
So you could come in here and never touch the ground.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
I couldn't. But,
Oh, there's
some people could.
Oh, okay. I thought I was
We
gonna
have
light
another
it.
question from the chat. Abhi Gamer wants to know if the alertness of guards is correlated by the difficulty. And we had another member in chat, Dagger1997, who says they're worried that the game will be too hard as he's new to the RPG setting.
Okay, I'll answer this one since I don't remember the first question. Well, remind me of it in a second. For the ease of it, so this is the first Assassin's Creed where we have difficulty settings. So you can set the game to easy or hard if you want. The default obviously is normal. But we know that by going much more RPG, by kind of going down the road of the combat system we wanted to push, that it definitely brings a lot more depth into the gameplay. But we know we have a large audience. We want as many people to enjoy that experience, and we felt by adding difficulty settings, it opens the door to people who want a more casual play style. If they're more into the world itself, exploration, narrative, there's an opportunity there. For the people who want much more hardcore gameplay challenge, set it normal or hard even. So if you're new to the RPG stuff, don't worry. Set it to easy, and you won't lose anything from that experience. And the first question was?
The alertness of guards, is it related to the difficulty setting? Are they more alert the harder the difficulty?
No, we played around with that, and we didn't like that it became... the thing was, the alertness of the guards has a level of credibility to it.
Yeah, sure.
And when we messed around too much with that, what we found was either they look really stupid, where they're just, it just takes a lot longer for them to see this dude with bloody weapons in front of them and not react to him. So we found a balance that we felt allows players to cat and mouse with the AI. That was the true goal of this type of detection system and this type of stealth, is that it's not a matter of getting detected. It's actually guards seeing a threat
Sure.
without going into conflict, and that they'll approach and investigate, and they'll get close enough to recognize, like, oh, who is this guy, and then perhaps attack. But that we wanted, so there's a lot of opportunity to play with the cat and mouse element of it. So that's why we didn't touch it for difficulty reasons. We didn't play with that because it was actually impacting the credibility of them being human beings, seeing or hearing a stimulus and reacting to that. But again, for the people who want a slightly easier experience, there is a mode for that. And it does have other impacts beyond just the stats. Not the perception of the guards, but it goes into other areas that hopefully will make the experience easier for the people who want it.
Sure. You had a bow out earlier, and you got to do something pretty cool. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there any way you could whip out that sweet bow again?
I'll do it, yeah, in a second.
After you get this guy.
Yeah.
Obliterated.
I'm trying. Doing better than rehearsal.
And there are several different types of bows in the game. Now, Craig says they can kind of suit your different play styles. You want to get up close with it or go a little
Absolutely.
bit farther away?
We wanted that the ranger play style, let's say, ranger play style, had a lot of variety into it. So there are 4 types of bows. Within those types, there's many variations when you get into rarities and so on.
Oh,
so this one is what we call the predator bow, which is kind of your sniper.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a beeline shot. It's a straight shot. So you have to aim really carefully. There is an ability that you can purchase.
And miss.
Whiffed.
But anyways,
Just highlighting the feature.
So he investigated the arrow that hit the wall, and now he saw Miriam. So he's coming after us. But this is so that ability is an optional ability. You don't have to buy it if you're not into it.
Sure.
But it is a way to enhance the elements of being a predator. Now, let's say it's not Byuk himself mentally rearranging where the arrow's going. It's kind of, let's say, he's able to give the arrow a bit of an arc, and we're representing that arc that he gives it. But every single bow has its own abilities that you can upgrade. But then beyond that, the bows themselves. So here we're setting a trap with the brazier.
You're like, finally.
I'm really excited for this. When it comes to attributes of weapons, properties of weapons, you can have. Oh, they're all right in the eyeball. Oh, very nice.
yes.
We wanted a lot of variety for the bows. So just like the melee weapons, they're poison tipped. Variations that are poison tipped cause bleeding damage. The ones that you can that are by default lit on fire, stuff like that. So there's a lot of options. There's the warrior bow, which is a shotgun. It's your favorite, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
I tend to love shotgun-esque weapons, so I'm like really excited that it's a bow, but it's also like a shotgun. It's perfect.
And that's the one with the like 5 arrows, and you're just kind of like.
So cool.
At the same time, yeah.
Oof. Wouldn't want to get hit by that one.
And we actually used a lot of real-world references, real-world archers that actually showed us how a bow can be shot, where you shoot multiple arrows, how you can hold many arrows in one hand, where you can quickly cycle through them. So a lot of this stuff is actually built or envisioned based on real archers in the world, experts at this kind of stuff.
You met somebody who can do that?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my God,
yeah.
it was a lethal human
them.
being alive.
Also, Miriam, just to check, what version is this of the game? We're on the Xbox One X? Yeah, Xbox One X.
Exclusive.
Yeah.
Exclusive. And we have a question from Shadow Merlin17 who wants to know if we'll learn the history behind the Medjay.
Yes, there is. So in terms of the narrative and all, we do get into a bit of who the Medjay are and what their purpose was. You know, this is a real world group. This is based off of a real group of. It was like a proto-police for the pharaohs that were replaced over time when the Greek dynasty came in. So with Alexander the Great and the Ptolemies, when they came in, they started phasing them out for a different group called the Phylakes. And so yes, we get into that a little bit because it is, in terms of timeline, the idea is Byuk is one of the last one of these people, and it's a bit about his backstory. So we do get into it. I think the novel gets into it a little bit more about his training in his younger days. But in the game, for sure, we get into who these people were and what they were about.
And do you meet this new sort of force that is a little bit more...
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely.
I was like, should I stop talking?
No, I think we've talked about it before. I think it's been seen in, especially when we did the previews of the game, but those are those bounty hunters, eventually, that after Byuk, let's say, I don't want to say what he does to get their attention, but he does something that clearly gets their attention, and they become this sort of like open world bosses that are roaming the world, hunting for him, and they're really living in the world. You can actually see them on the world map, what they're doing and where they are, and you can approach them, or if a brazier nearby is lit, they'll be attracted to it.
Sure.
You can stealth them if you want. You can mess around with them. They have some of the best gear in the game. So we really wanted this idea that they're a lethal force that also represented an opportunity for players who wanted kind of a tough challenge, but also awesome loot. Sweet loot.
Since we're kind of on the topic of the story, Mr. Too Nice Wit asks, is the story connected to the original AC in any way? Is that something we can speak on?
Well, we're not going to ruin anything. I don't want to spoil anything, but for sure this is 1,000 years before AC1, or over 1,000 years before AC1. And so, yes, we definitely acknowledge some elements of things people have seen from the other games, not just AC1, but from the other games. You know, we're telling the origin of a group. So for sure there's going to be anecdotes about things we've seen from the other games. This is completely in line, of course, with the lore of AC. It's not any kind of reboot or anything. Let's say it is a reinvention of the experience in terms of gameplay, narrative structure, world structure. But in terms of lore, it's part of that canon. So we play around with it for sure.
Great. I'm excited to see it.
And there's really awesome moments linked to things people have seen from maybe perhaps from AC1, AC2. So
I feel like you're right on the edge of saying something.
I don't want to ruin it for people.
like
I really don't want to ruin.
Jump in
no, I think the joy of experiencing it, is way better than hearing me say it.
So it looks like I just saw you whip out that shotgun bow.
Yeah,
which looked pretty cool. Did you guys see that? There's this
I love
close
the
range.
shotgun bow.
Just everybody's poison.
Everybody.
Yeah, there's a big smog there.
Yeah, there's a nice smog of poison.
You did that?
I did.
So just to say, even when a guy is poisoned like that, during combat, it actually acts as a sort of a stun. So at some points they're gonna start coughing. When the poison really kicks in, they'll even start vomiting. So it's actually, the poison has an effect as well in combat in terms of like it kind of stuns the enemies for a little while. So it makes the setup a little bit easier. Here we're still taking out guys. Just to say maybe so these types of locations, these military locations, it's a great place to find gear, of course. There's objectives like commanders that you need to take out that kind of, let's say, relieve some of the pressure of the Ptolemy occupation in the area. But there's a lot of quests that bring us here. So especially even, you know, a fort like Niku Fort specifically, there's a few quests that bring us here. So there's narrative reasons to come into these locations. We're not playing a quest right now, but we try to use every angle to take advantage of the world that we've built.
So it looks like you can as well, there's a bunch of different weapons that you can equip. I mean, it seems like Miriam is going for a little bit more sword
Yeah, I
version,
didn't have a
but
choice.
there's spears as well, so you can deal with a little bit more, a wider range of it when you're hitting enemies.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we should even maybe play around with it. If we go to the gear.
I'll see what you got, Miriam.
Yeah, so we have, so here we can see some rarities. So blue is common, purple is rare, and then gold is legendary. And the big difference here is you just have more and more attributes and properties to the point where the legendary stuff, you can really craft a much more precise play style.
So we have a question from Zordi from the Twitch chat who asks if you can destroy or dismantle items for materials for crafting from other things in the world.
Yes, absolutely. So there's a lot of the loot you pick up. All the weapons and shields and gear you have, you can dismantle it to gain crafting material.
Okay.
The system's quite diverse. We wanted, you know, at some point that whatever play style you have, you can it'll feed into the way you want to grow. So let's say we've had, I've said this once before, but we've noticed that there's this very small subset of players who want to play with the economy of things. And so we have some abilities linked to that. That's another way to, let's say, if you're not for going, taking out guards, taking the iron, the bronze, there are ways to get that through the economy system.
Sure.
So we wanted to allow players, if you're into that style of play, there's abilities for you, there's ways that you can still craft and upgrade yourself without necessarily just going out and killing guards or hunting, that kind of thing, if you're into that playstyle.
So it seems like there's quite a variety of materials that you can get. So there's metals, there's animal skins, which you can
There's animal
find
skills, there's some more rare stuff that you can find, let's say, in more challenging areas of the game as a nice reward. Oh my god, vicious.
Miriam,
vicious.
brutal.
Very good.
No
Bravo.
mercy run.
So did we switch to? Oh yeah, we have a spear.
I have dual blade now.
You have the dual blades as well.
Oh.
So one thing that people can do, because I get the question of, if I have 2 melee weapons, what's the value of having 2 and switching between the 2? Part of the value actually is, first, depending on the number of guards around you. If you have 1, an area effect weapon is not the most efficient thing. But because the fight is so dynamic and fast that you can go from a few guys around you to 1 or 2 very quickly. So here, being able to switch quickly between something that's more focused versus more effect has an efficiency to it.
Sure.
But it's also about the way we manage what we call fury mode or overpower, which is you have this adrenaline bar that you build up. Each weapon can vary the way this thing builds up, but you have different outputs. So you can use one weapon to build up this adrenaline bar, switch to another weapon to unleash it. Because you prefer, let's say...
Oh!
Oh boy, okay.
What are you holding? Is that the scepter? Oh my god.
So this is a scepter.
Oh no.
I love this
huge.
scepter. Yeah, this guy's a bit of a badass.
So he's a
Very
captain
tanky.
now?
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
very
He
nice
runs so
touch.
fast.
Got it.
Yeah, this guy's a brute. He's got a massive weapon. So here, this is what we call fury mode. So it's an aspect of the scepter.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Okay, Miriam, you're showing some skills. So she's doing a bunch of different combos here, which is really cool. You have a lot of different combos you can pull off, so she's kind of showing off her skills here.
Oh no!
Oh boy, oh boy.
You can recover.
You got it.
So the scepter is one of my favorite weapons. I love it. The sniper bow, however, in the middle of this fight is not.
He never saw it coming.
I mean, it could be bad. So here, look at this. Senu's helping you.
Senu.
Yeah, sweet Senu.
Oh no.
Sanu's trying.
But there is an archer there. oh boy.
I believe in you.
There we
It's
go.
her. It's the champ.
I don't believe in
Miriam,
myself
I
so
believe
much.
in you, Miriam. I believe in
Ash
you.
believes in you.
That means a lot.
I feel like there's like 6 guys waiting right behind you. Oh my god, this is so close.
This is a tough situation. Oh, you got Fury.
You're out of
You
ammo!
got Fury. You got Fury.
Yes!
Oh boy,
You
but
got it.
he's swinging though.
Do it.
I believe in you.
Do
You've
it,
got
Miriam.
it.
Do it.
Oh my
Why does
no,
this
no,
other
no,
guard
no.
have to come interfere?
Oh god. Oh god. Oh, no.
Almost.
That was
so
the first one,
close.
though. So you know that this is live, because
Yeah,
she
we're
knows.
definitely
Of course.
teasing.
And you know what? I'll say that we fully assumed and accepted the fact that we want a more challenging game.
Sure. Yeah.
Not necessarily just saying making a harder game, but we wanted more gameplay challenge, more depth. We expect people to die against bosses, against unique enemies.
Oh.
If they're
Now
not
we're
paying
back.
attention to the way they're running around in the world, that there is threat there. We want people to be able to focus on the world they're in. Having said that, again, if you're not as into that, set the game to easy. It'll make that experience much less challenging.
We have a question from Gorvo Otano from the Twitch chat who says they're worried that the golden hit point numbers will ruin the immersiveness of the environment, and they want to know if they can change that in the UI settings.
Yes, you can turn off the damage points, the visual, the feedback.
Okay.
Having said that, I love them. I care about that kind of stuff, but it's something that we saw that when we first kind of started integrating this, it was really polarizing. There's people who love it, there's people who hate it, and there's very few people in the middle. So yeah, there's an option to turn all that feedback off.
And we have another question from Brett Uzumaki from the Twitch chat who asks, are the outfits of the previous AC Games main characters in this game? They want to know if they can run around Egypt in Ezio or Altair's outfits. Which I think would be pretty cool.
I'm not sure if we've ever said it. I mean,
Good job,
I mean, it's getting close. So there are some legacy outfits for sure.
Oh.
I don't want to get into how you get them.
Extreme exclusive.
But yes, you have the outfits from previous aces.
Oh, cool.
I'm trying to say, is anybody freaking out?
I'm waiting for an
I in
assassin to
trouble?
come across the screen and just stab you. It looks like we're good. Pierre's not on your case.
And Shadow Merlin 17 from Mixer wants to know what the scale of the map is.
Oh well, let's bring up the world map, Miriam. If you,
While she's
Yes.
hanging out.
after whistling
Yes,
at a
please.
guard, after whistling at a
Looking
guard.
at
Actually, if we can zoom in all the way, zoom into where you are,
Okay.
Miriam, just so we see. So this camp that we've been playing in is effectively this area right here,
Yeah.
and I can say if you play this fort is massive. It's really huge, but if you pull back now. You can see it's a tiny little blip in the world, and so the
Oh my
world
gosh.
just
That's
goes
so
on.
big.
So much to explore.
Yeah, I mean, when we decided to do Egypt, we knew we were getting ourselves into building a country. It's not a city. It's we wanted to represent Egypt well in all its biomes. It's all its the awe of this land. One of the first questions people had for us was, "Oh, but it's a lot of desert." It's actually not. There's different deserts, yes, for sure, but there's a lot of variety of, like I said, biomes, foliage. The Nile Delta is incredible. The mountains are incredible. So the world is really huge, and it's the challenge then is, it's not just the size, that you have to fill it with content.
Of course.
And so that's one reason we went to Quest. That's one reason we changed the way we have AI living in the world. It's actually to make sure that there's consistently something going on, something that's exciting for players. Because again, physical size is one metric that I don't think represents the experience of the game.
Sure.
It's a good stealth maneuver.
She's just wasting dudes this whole time. I love it.
Amazing.
You made the mistake of walking too close to the edge.
Yeah.
So Net has another question about weapons, and they want to know, can you use any weapons two-handed without the shield, or is the shield a necessary part of combat altogether?
So there are some weapons that don't use the shield. So for example, let's say you can set it to fist fight. So you can go through the game fist fighting, and I would love to see somebody one day one-shot punch a war elephant. You can do it. It's doable. It takes a lot of work, but it's doable.
That sounds amazing.
So there are some weapons use the shield for sure. So for example, the regular sword uses the shield in the combo, but other weapons don't.
Did the scepter? I feel like I saw it without the shield. Am I misremembering that?
The scepter uses the shield for some moves, but not for all moves. There are some weapons that don't use the shield at all, and some that mix it into the combo.
I like to see that the hay bale
Yeah, my
assassination is
favorite.
making an epic return.
Absolutely. Oh, we have that.
Is that-
That's the guy who wrecked us earlier.
Yeah, that's
Are you ready for the
the
rematch?
only one remaining.
I
You
believe
gotta
in you.
do
I
it.
think you
I
can
still
get
have
it
one
this
captain
time.
to kill, and it's him.
This is a grudge match. Miriam.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, damn.
Oh.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the war elephants you mentioned, Zangrate from Twitch asks, how much liberty did the team take with the setting and the fantastical aspect, because the war elephants and certain enemies seem a bit larger than their actual size?
So, what our angle is, this is a video game. We try to be credible, but not realistic. Those are the words we separate. We're not a realistic game. This isn't a true, a pure history of what happened. We have a fiction, we have a lore that we intermingle into all of this.
Right.
So we take some liberties where we feel it's justified because we have a reference. So if we find a reference of some guy who's quite tall, a 7-foot dude, quite muscular, that's good enough for us to say that we have a bunch of these guys in the world like him who are armored and carry that type of weapon. Having said that, the majority of the experience is quite a credible one. Even the war elephants, again, this is based off of references we found. We might exaggerate some stuff for gameplay reasons. As an example for the war elephants, it was really, we needed slightly bigger elephants to actually have things like weak points. For example, their eyes are weak points. And so we had to play with the size to find how can we have them armored. Some
Sure.
parts are more difficult to hit. How can we have it so that you can run in its legs? So having said that, we do try to find references that can justify our the ends of what we try to do. The general thing is quite credible in our opinion, but again, we're not a realistic game, and we don't pretend to be.
I guess if you can one-shot punch an elephant in the face and kill it.
At some point, yes.
This question kind of related. Shadow Cyclone 08 from Twitch wants to know if you can fast travel.
Yeah. So you're not forced to, but there's many different ways. So by visiting the villages of the world, the cities of the world, this automatically allows you to fast travel back to them. Also the viewpoints. So now the viewpoints, they do a bunch of different things. One of them is unlocking a fast travel to that viewpoint. The other thing they do, which is quite cool, is they increase Senu's ability to tag and detect.
Oh, cool.
So by doing more and more viewpoints, the idea is, in previous hasties, there was always an eagle around these viewpoints. Here, in an origin sense, the idea is you're bringing Senu to the viewpoint. Yeah, it's mind-blowing, isn't it? But the idea is it's a link. There's a link there, so there's different ways to unlock fast travel.
Now for the health regen, Nick Van Doldenborg, that's a little bit of a tongue twister there, from Twitch, wants to know if health regains over time or if you have to take potions.
No, we tried a bunch of different designs, but we left it at you have abilities that can change the way your health regens. Once you're out of conflict, though, we wanted that the whole loop resets itself. So that when you exit conflict, whether you want to go back into stealth, where you want to go back into a new fight that's upcoming, that you kind of start at a stable place. So your health regens outside of combat, and then you have abilities that change the way that works. Oh, well, there's a lion in the mix.
Are you kidding me?
Surprise!
There's even here, we see this label, you can see it says assist rebels. So this is another element of the game where whether it's civilians, rebels, there's different factions in the world. There are these opportunities that are actually quite dynamic that you can take advantage of. In this case, let's say if we release some rebels who have been captured, so let's say they've been captured, they've brought into these cells, if you let them go, oh man.
Okay,
okay.
Yeah. Dropped you like a hot potato.
No.
It's no good.
I believe in you, Miriam. I believe in you.
Thank you.
You've got this.
To be killed 2 times by the same dude would be a bit sad.
Like you're just lulling him into a false sense of security
Exactly.
before you assassinate
There
him.
you go.
This looks like a new type of bow.
There we go. Oh boy, yeah. So this is the
the-
rapid fire bow. It's kind of like an Uzi. It's quite fast. But again, this is actually based off of a guy who showed us how you can hold arrows and fire them very, very fast. So the way he's holding them is actually based off of a reference we have.
I want to meet this guy and watch
Alright.
him shoot a bow.
Just have a stream of him. What do you?
I'm trying to put it on fire.
Oh, got it. I thought you were
Fire
just-
arrows are so cool.
Hey, as a little tip, you have a torch. You can use the torch as a stealth tool. You can use it to distract guards, to lure them. But you can actually drop it in front of you and use it to light your arrows as well.
Yeah?
Oh,
It's
cool.
a little anecdote. Yeah.
Are you hinting at anything that you'd like to see on screen?
No, it's okay. We're dealing with this dude. Hey, you can toss that jar. If we toss that jar next to it, see that jar right there? If we toss it on him, it's gonna break into oil,
Oh,
which will make really the fire really do something interesting.
sounds like you should heat things up. a
Oh,
little bit.
okay, you threw it to
Oh,
fire source
in
already.
the
Oh.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh
there.
What
boy.
kind of
no.
dude just walks through fire and then
This guy.
That
fine.
guy.
A badass like that.
Wasted Miriam. Get him.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, this is
So
getting...
Falakis are near. Oh
And
boy.
that's the group you referenced.
That's the
correct?
group I was mentioning earlier. So at this point, in terms of where we are, in terms of the narrative,
He's looking you
boy.
dead in the face.
it's like, really? Come on now.
so I would escape from this point. Oh, he's tossing
Oh, you're
down.
on fire. No.
So here, at some point, so every enemy
Things
has
got a
the
little
ability
too hot.
to do ranged combat as well, especially when you're in an area that maybe is hard for them to reach. This guy, so some guys will throw javelins, some guys will use bows. This guy has the ability to throw sachets of oil that light on fire if there's a fire source nearby.
Thanks to us.
So
there
that was so that's tough. Miriam, not your fault.
I know.
Very difficult. So we'll say again, this is one of the hardest forts we have in the game. There's a few optional side quests that take you there. This is a really tough place.
Well, to lighten up the mood after Miriam's death, we can talk about some animals. Tyrion from Twitch wants to know if you can get the cats to follow you around town.
Cats. Oh, cats.
Interact with them. With
Yeah.
your hand and
So
all.
the way that we've gone about it is that so yes, sometimes cats will follow you.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. But a cat will do what a cat does. So
Ignore you.
So
Sleep.
sometimes they'll
Neglect
ignore
you
you.
emotionally.
Sometimes
Yeah.
if we see that you're actively chasing after one, it depends. It's kind of a roll of the dice. The cat may decide to give you attention. It might just run away from you. So we kind of had a little bit of fun with cats on this one.
And there are dogs too, right?
There are dogs in the world.
Excellent.
There are dogs in the world. There's a ton of animals, a lot of different types of. It's not just the predators that we see. We have a lot of ambient animals, a lot of domesticated animals, and so on. You know, we've seen a lot of horses and carts that are pulled by horses, but we have carts that are pulled by bulls and so on. So animals galore.
That's
Perfect.
great. So we have a question about the story from Dan7714 from Twitch, who wants to know if the story will take place over several years. And they said that they liked that in the other games. I don't know how
No
in-depth
spoilers,
you
Twitch
can
chat.
get.
Jeez.
So I mean,
the plot?
we've said I won't say how many years. You know, I don't want to spoil some stuff, but we've said effectively that this is we are at the time period of the rise of Cleopatra, of her being pushed out of the country, pushed off of her throne, to ascending that throne, with eventually Caesar coming in and so on. So you can kind of guesstimate about what that means in terms of timeline. I don't want to spoil too much stuff in terms of the narrative. For me,
That's
it's
fair.
very important that people
Absolutely.
experience this narrative. It's definitely not the same me talking about it. I'm not as clever as our brilliant writers or our actors who you know, Abu and Alex. They did a phenomenal job with these characters. I love what they did with them. We did put a lot of effort into the narrative, into who is this couple, this husband and wife that give the birth to something really powerful in our lore that has lasted for over 2,000 years. I want people to experience that themselves. You don't want me talking about it. I'll ruin it for you. It won't be as
After
glamorous.
launch, he will read the whole script.
After launch, we
It'll
can
be an
get into
audiobook,
it. We
all
can get
of
Go
into it.
line by line.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then Jack of All Games, who's also from Twitch, wants to know if there's a carrying capacity or if you can hoard. Which is a good question because I do the same thing.
So maybe we can show it really quickly here. Remember, if we go to the gear page, just to show it really quickly. So if we go to let's say the bows, there is no carrying capacity. You can hoard whatever you want. Knowing that, you can dismantle stuff. You can sell it. If we go back into it, just show it really quickly. People can see at the bottom of the screen. Can you enter the inventory there? You can see at the bottom in green text. You can sort the inventory so that because it gets so big, sometimes we needed mechanisms to be able to, you know, what was the last thing I got, or
Organize your hoarding.
Or organize your hoarding, exactly. That's very important.
Organized chaos.
Byuk was a very organized fellow, so so there's ways to manage that. But yes, there's no carrying capacity. You do have capacities for, let's say, ammo, which is part of the crafting system, and it's why we have, you know, ammo.
So you can like
ammo
upgrade
containers.
your quiver and stuff.
Exactly.
To hold more.
But generally speaking, for weapons, shields, gear, outfits, there's no limit there.
So we're nearing the end of our segment with you, but we can fit in one more question from Crossfire and from the Mixer chat, who wants to know what the highest structure you can climb is, and they want to know how long it took to create it. Probably a long time.
Yeah. So the person-made structure, let's say, would be the Great Pyramid. I believe that's the or is it the Pharaohs? Ooh, the world
you know
team's
they're
gonna
gonna
kill
fact
me
check
for
you,
not
right?
knowing. I'm gonna say it's the Great Pyramid, but the scale of the Great Pyramid is a 1-to-1 scale. It's massive.
Oh my
it takes a few minutes to climb that thing. We wanted to represent, you know, this place with all its awe and grandeur. So the pyramid is definitely one of the largest, biggest places that you can climb, and you can definitely climb to the top of it. how long did it take to build? We did a lot of iterations on Giza Plateau itself to make sure that it has really awesome opportunities for you, that it matches what people expect. We knew people would want to climb the pyramids and slide down, so we needed to make sure. So I can't quantify that time because I don't really know the number, but a lot of effort has been put on it with a lot of different people looking at it and making sure that it was as solid as possible. And in the Discovery Tour, you can have tours within the Great Pyramids, and we actually talk a lot about the actual structure of it, but even where we needed to think from a developer point of view, what can we do, what can't we do for gameplay reasons. So we kind of get into that a little bit. In terms of just the tallest things you can climb, well, there's mountains, there's the Katara Depression where it's actually quite low, and so you have these giant cliff faces. I'm not even sure how tall they are.
You can climb all the cliff faces, right? You can just basically...
Oh, you can absolutely climb every surface. You can get to pretty much... we wanted that the landscape was really fun to navigate and to climb. And if you see a point and you want to reach that point, just go.
That's one of my favorite things about AC is that you just
climbing on everything.
I'm going to climb that. That's mine now.
And there's some surprises there. There's some surprises where we don't necessarily tell you exactly what's there or even hint that there's something there.
What are you hinting at, Ash?
But if you explore, we wanted to make sure exploration was really rewarded. But so we put a lot of stuff in the world to make sure we expect people to climb this space because something attracted them there, whether it's its height or its look. And so there might be a little surprise around the corner if you just kind of take the time to look.
I can't wait to explore. Well, I think we are gonna do the first giveaway right now before you guys leave.
Says it really well in the trailer. Like the world of ancient Egypt that we recreated is actually very gorgeous, and we felt compelled to make this give players this ability to jump and take pictures of them.
That's amazing.
There you go. A cool one.
Well, you're off to an impeccable start, I think. This is amazing.
And I really like the guy in the back.
Yeah.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, was that man in your picture? Yes, that brings you back.
Really? No hanging out pun?
I was thinking about it. It was in my brain. It's like, that guy's hanging out back there.
Didn't mean to jump on your pun.
So you can pause the engine at any given moment while you're in the game and play with graphic options, such as filters, zoom, the frame, the focus as well. So there's lots of things to customize your pictures with. And once you take a picture like that awesome one, what's interesting for us, and this is where this is a connected feature, in the sense that when you take a picture, it's saved locally on your console, on PC, but it's also uploaded on our servers. And then we use that database of pictures to populate the games of all the players. So on your world map, from time to time, you're going to see some tiny icons showing pictures taken by some other people as well. So you can filter them out. Select only your own pictures as well.
And you can leave likes.
You can like a picture, yes.
That's so cool.
Not yours,
now,
of course.
how popular are with your friends?
I told you, I'll like your pictures, Grace.
Thank you. We have a pact
Mutual
going,
exchange.
so we at least have one
Yes.
like each. My self-worth is tied exclusively to how many likes I will get on these pictures.
Oh.
Hey, man, I'm going to do great, okay? I'm going to
You
so
are.
many likes. Thanks.
You're going to get hundreds upon thousands.
Yeah.
Or tens.
And so we also use the photo mode to actually showcase some of the majestic artworks from our artists. So one picture a day, one artwork. So they're placed in regions so accurately to where we actually reproduced that concept. So if you were going there, you would actually see the stables, comparing from the artistic vision to actually what's implemented in the game.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
so cool.
Some of them are very, very similar. Some others are more inspirational, of course, but we have tons of them. So be sure to check out the game on a daily basis if you want to look at the awesome concept
photos.
arts. Yes.
We've got a question from Zan Great from the Twitch chat who says, is the photo mode going to be included in the day one patch?
Day one patch, that's very specific. The photo mode is there on day one for sure. However, we are still working on some additional filters and graphical options for you to customize your pictures even better.
Indeed. So it'll be continued to be supported.
Yeah, we'll continue to support it for sure, yes.
I immediately thought of Snapchat filters, like Byuk with the dog filter on his face.
Oh my god.
That'd be amazing.
That'll be a day 600 patch. Never.
Never.
So you can pause during mid-combat as well, so you
Yes.
can catch all the action
Yes.
scenes. If you're,
Yes.
for example, being attacked by a hippo, you can for sure take that picture too, right?
Yeah, I could. If there's some hippo clothes.
Do you think we can find one? Oh my god, I love that. I
A
love
slow
the-
motion hippo shot.
Yeah, just like right about
We're
to
not so
bed.
close to the water.
My
Yeah, we're
final
not so close.
moments. You gotta get it up on social media, at least. Though they didn't have social media in this day and age.
And will there be a way for you to see sort of your
Papyrus existed.
That's true.
yeah, let me quick
Commission
sketch this out.
someone.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
there
I
you go.
ate this morning.
So is there any way that you can see your friends' pictures if they post something
Yes,
really cool?
yes. So we effectively filter the pictures for you. So we have a nice algorithm that does the job. So we favor tremendously the pictures taken by your friends, for sure. But we also filter the display the pictures that are the most liked as well. So, I mean, if you're a cool photographer, you share your vision. Ooh, that's going to be a nice shot.
Are you ready to be featured on there, Grace?
Yeah, prepare
With
for me
your
every
photo
day.
mode fame.
Yeah, always feature. And not because I work here, because I'm not good.
We have another question from Swifty Narwhal from the Twitch chat who wants to know if you can take pictures without Byuk in them.
Absolutely. It's just a question of playing with the camera. So actually, Miriam, if you want to move the camera away from Byuk, you can actually do that.
Oui. Yes.
So just move Byuk out of the frame, and there it is. I
Oh,
mean,
wow. Yeah.
the
Didn't
camera
go
can
anywhere.
actually go pretty far away from the character. So yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm so
That's
excited because, I mean, the world is so beautiful, and I feel like being able to capture it,
Yes.
it's always fun to experience it, but also to have those moments you can really
Yeah.
sort of highlight your really awesome, like, if you're doing like a fight, or you're fighting a hippo, for
You can
example.
also take pictures, with Sinu.
Of Senu?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Anytime.
That's going to be my whole library of photos.
Document
is,
Senu's adventures.
Here's Senu against a tree. Here's Senu
It's like
on my
then if you
arm.
die, at least you're like, okay, at least I got a nice photo out of this situation.
I will die for a
Makes you
perfect
feel
photo of
better.
Senu. Does it?
Time it right though.
Yes.
Yeah, don't die too soon. And so, for us, the photo mode was very important in the sense that, well, yes, the fans were actually asking for it as well for quite some time. I think, we had, best graphics ever on an AC game to showcase that. But it's also the fact that we have a very creative community. I mean, we've seen,
Yes.
with our cosplayers, with people drawing, fan arts, writing stories as well. We have an awesome creative community, but their creativity only happens outside of the game so far. So this is your chance to actually inject some of your creativity within the game.
Oh yes, hippo.
This is the moment, guys.
And we also have a question from Kiwi Lava from Twitch, who wants to know if there's some sort of achievement program with the photo mode.
That's a good question. I'm not sure if I should spoil this, but I'm just gonna say yes.
Oh,
Another
much
stream
details.
exclusive, guys.
live reveal.
That's a nice shot.
You got the
Right?
blood
Right?
flowing in the
Yeah.
water.
You
It's very
look like
artsy.
You're severely in pain.
You can definitely see this on the homepage of Instagram. Couldn't you?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's got filters. It's got hippos. I mean, that's an Instagram
What's not to
formula. I've
like?
never heard of it.
Okay.
What are you swinging at?
We got the picture. Time to dash.
Yeah, I'm gone. I'm a goner. He's so big.
You're good.
It's like your open world safari.
Oh gosh, how did they run so fast?
Oh, you're in the boat.
You should probably have asked, whether he was fine with you taking
Yeah.
pictures.
Always ask.
You didn't ask for my permission.
I wasn't ready.
You didn't get my good
Oh my
side.
God, they're so cute. I love them.
They're so cute.
I know. It's like you almost don't want to kill them because they're adorable.
You want to kill them because they're adorable?
No, you don't because they're.
okay, sorry.
You almost don't
Megan,
want
that's
to.
really messed up, okay?
I know. But I don't want to kill
Get
them.
dogs next? Jeez.
All right.
And now you can loot it right after you
Yes.
take its
I don't
photo.
kill animals. It's wrong.
So we also have other features that you will be able to access when the game launches.
Yes.
We'll have some things that you can go to, like the Nomad Bazaar, which has some items in it and also daily quests. So I think, Miriam, you're going to take us over to
This is
the bazaar. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
So what is sort of the thought process behind that feature, and does it change? The location change? Does it...
So the so Reda is part of the Nomad Bazaar. So this is a very own unique feature with a specific unique merchant, if you will. So there's a little kid interested in weapons. He sells weapons. He sells
as most young children do.
Yeah, I mean nowadays, you know. But he roams around the world. He, across all of Egypt. He actually also imports, some foreign weapons from nearby civilizations. So. He's a good man if you're looking for, very interesting weapons.
Oh, I am.
Definitely the coolest kid I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's got some massive style that I can only hope to embody one day.
Someday.
So, as Byuk, you're gonna meet him at some point in the game, and you're gonna build a relationship with him, as you progress in the story, and you're going to learn more about his own story. It's a very deep, interesting story, about why he's doing this and so on and so on. And so he's also going to give you some daily quests.
Okay.
So he travels around the world, so he has access to. He meets a lot of people. Who has trouble and whatnot. So once he meets Byuk, who is a Magi, whose duty is actually to help the people as well. He's going to turn to Byuk to solve someone's issues. So he's going to ask you to travel around the world, to explore things, to deal with some people's problems as well, retrieve things, deal with pestering animals, these sort of things, a lot of things. And so if we look actually at what he has to sell, Miriam, so at any given moment, you can visit him. He's going to be spread across the world. He's going to travel a lot, so you're going to meet him at different places as well. And you can buy from him crafting materials. So carbon crystals, there are very rare crafting material that is used for the high-level upgrades of your gear.
The sweet loot.
The sweet loot. That's what it says. Yes. If you want to be powerful, you're going to need to find those things. So, and there's plenty in the world, but if you're short on a couple and you want to speed up your progression, you can actually turn to him and purchase a few. He's also proposing what we call the Heka chest. So this one is very interesting. It's a chest that contains pretty much any weapon in the game, except those that are actually very exclusive to achieving a certain objective or a challenge in the game, including everything that we have in the store as well. So all the weapons, all the mounts, the outfits that you can get in the store are accessible through this chest. So if Miriam purchase one here, you're gonna see that you got a rare warrior bow. That's awesome.
That's a pretty bow.
So one thing that is worth noting is actually it doesn't sell crap. It sells only, no, seriously, it sells only rare and legendary items. So only the good stuff.
And to get the chest, this is all with in-game currency, correct?
Absolutely,
so
yes. You can only get this chest from him with in-game currency. Yes, and it's meant, for players who are really into the economic game, who wants to actually get the whole. Now you go, legendary.
Oh. Dang.
Cool one.
That is pretty.
One last one.
After. Yes.
One last one.
She's going crazy.
This is going to be me with all of my money in this game. It's going to be bad. One more.
Fan axe. Cool.
I'm a fan of that axe.
Yeah.
Had to bring the plug out in there. Frodo just side-eyeing so hard with that.
I'm sorry,
you're going to see that we had quite a bit of fun with several items, with the lore, with their names as well.
Sure.
Yeah, we love to hint at our players as well and play with them.
And then for the daily quests, you also get rewards for completing it,
yes,
right?
and the reward, so every time you complete a daily quest, you're going to get one Heka chest for free. So every day you have your chance at one as well. Yes.
Cool.
So right now, Miriam is actually picking up a daily quest from Reda, and we'll see what he wants you to do.
While the quest is being gotten, we have a comment from Staffan Stevens from Twitch who wants to say, just throwing this out there, I'm loving every minute of this stream. Thanks, buddy. We appreciate it.
Thanks, bud.
Thank you. And we have a question from Bulve, who says that he knows you might not be the right person to ask, but he wants to know if there will be a companion app to this game, like there have been to some of the other games.
Well, as a matter of fact, I am the right person.
Well, that worked out.
Yeah. Good, good. There won't be a companion app for this game. Yes, everything that we do is accessible entirely within the game. However, we might have some things available on the website as well, the official website. We'll see how that goes.
Make sure you go to
Cool.
Assassin'sCreed.com.
Nice.
I'm just trying to plug everything.
Good work. And then the Golden Boy BR, also from Twitch, wants to know if there's any difference on using a camel versus a horse.
Style.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
No, that's really it. Actually, it's more like a cosmetic option, like how you want Byuk to ride in style in Egypt.
You want him to look cool, so you want him to ride a camel.
Well, I liked when you go into the mount selection, it has a little like blurb about the if you have like a special horse or camel, and I noticed that you had the Majesty one, and they have these nice little backstories and stuff.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Look, it's so cute.
I'm gonna feel so attached to my camel.
And you can sling bodies on them. Just
You can.
Perfect.
yeah, it might be something that I tried
Carry your
for the
enemies.
first time. Yeah.
See, there's a back seat on this one.
Oh, perfect. So you can have your dead friend on the back, and then you can ride around town and intimidate everybody around. It's perfect.
You're next.
No one will mess with you.
Just make sure to poison him before.
Exactly. Bring the poison cloud.
We have another question about the Hecka chest from BeingMo97 from the Twitch chat, who wants to know what happens if you get an item from the Hecka chest that you already have. So you get a duplicate.
Yeah, duplicates are our thing. It's possible. You can simply sell them. You can dismantle them and get crafting materials that will help you in progressing your upgrades. But to be honest, this is not a blind box. We actually make sure that you get something. We increase your chances as time goes as well, so that it's not purely random. We make sure that you will eventually get something really, really cool.
Awesome.
Regularly.
Yay! Cool loot. Sweet loot.
Sweet loot.
Perfect.
So Miriam is on her way to finding a thief, that's someone who stole something either from Reda or from some of his friends. I'm guessing that's going to be a weapon.
Guessing.
We'll see.
Wink, wink.
Just pulling that from out of the air.
Yeah, just
And there are several different types of daily quests, so if you go back, I might...
There are absolutely several
different
types,
objectives
yes.
and stuff.
And so the cool thing about this one is that, and this is absolutely not scripted, we could not tell whether Miriam would actually go to that location because although we give the same quest to all the players on a given day, the way that quest will unfold in their game is going to be different. In the sense that we do respect your progression, we respect where you are in the game, what level you are as well. And so for the rest, we actually rely a lot on our new AI framework that, that gives life to all entities in the world. So we don't script where people are. We don't script where animals are going, whether they are eating, sleeping, hunting, attacking camels or camps. Yes. And so all those quests, they will play differently for every player. And that's really the beauty of it. The beauty of bringing life to all those characters. Because we can't tell what they're going to be. We can't tell that whether they're going to be sleeping at night or whether they're going to be actually busy fighting against each other or something like that.
Oh, I'm so excited, guys.
I know, me too.
I want to play this game so bad.
I want to play it right now. We have a question from Murdoch723 from the Twitch chat who wants to know, going back to dismantling weapons, if you dismantle a weapon, can you get it back after you dismantle it? Or what do you have to do to get it back?
Well, just in real life, you cannot rebuild something that you... I mean, yeah, no. I mean, I don't have that crafting master.
Be careful with what you dismantle. Lesson learned.
But you have to hold the button down, right? It's not just like on a hair trigger. You have to hold it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's not like
but if it's an impulse, you're like, I'm clearing out my stuff. You gotta think about it.
It's gonna be on you if you hold that button down for like 6 seconds.
Actually, it might be a good time actually to say that if ever you were, say, to purchase something in the store, like a cool weapon, you dismantle it. Actually, no, you cannot dismantle it. I just realized that.
Another stream exclusive.
Perfect.
Well, that's good. I think it's grace proof, I guess.
Absolutely.
If I can't mess it up, it won't be messed up.
So
what
she
happens
found,
if you can?
Oh God.
Well,
then I'll find a way.
2 legendary weapons in one day.
Oh, wow.
Go, Miriam.
That is cool.
Poison on hit.
It's a cool one,
I feel
yes.
like that fits with your
Yeah.
play style.
Exactly.
I feel like you don't even need to swing that. You can just hold it and instantly be cool.
Yeah. So when
That's a
you
quick.
complete the quest, you don't need to go back to him.
That depends. Some quests, you find your reward directly on your victim or
Sure.
in the chest or something like that. Some of them actually, you will need to bring something back to Reda. but it's conveniently placed, so you can like go there, you know, on your horseback or camelback, or you can actually fast travel to his nearby location.
And his location, you said that he changes.
He changes regularly,
so,
yes.
But it's marked on the map.
It's always
with
marked on the
special-
map. Yes, you know, it's very unique icon, the blue camel. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. Oh,
That
Very
is
good.
so cool.
look at this.
She's so
Tying all
happy
the
with her new
segments
weapon that she
together.
had to
You have to
take a picture of
document it.
Does it? Oh my god. What a shot. What a shot.
So since we are back in photo mode, we have a question about photo mode from Hood Review on Twitch, who wants to know different ways you can share pictures.
So the pictures are actually automatically shared, you know, across the community. You don't necessarily have a control over, you know, who they are shared with, but nothing prevents you from actually sharing them manually as well. Yeah, or using, you know, the consoles or your platform.
Sure.
Spamming them on Instagram.
Yes.
Perfect.
Sounds like Meg has a
Should we
plan.
Should we show her costume?
Which one?
Oh,
Oh gosh.
The next.
the cool one.
Well, that's going to be right after, yes.
That was a little taste.
Oh,
If
a
you
little
stick
sneak
around,
peek.
Something.
You will see that in full view. So I think before we move on to some of the free activities that we'll have for post-launch available, we should maybe hype up this next mode. Do you want to tell us a little bit about
Every Assassin's Creed
sort of what
Origins
you can
player
interact
will
with,
have the
what sort of
Sure,
awesome
sure.
stuff you can do?
So, like we've seen in the post-launch trailer, and then this is the Trial of the Gods. So this is like a massive boss fight against huge Egyptian deities that are gonna, you know, test your fighting skills to the maximum. So the idea is this is
Just
gonna come
kidding.
in.
Oh, I jumped the gun. Sorry,
there,
guys.
yes.
I was so excited it was on fire. I was
So
like,
every time you defeat a Trial of the God, so a new boss, you're gonna get one piece of this armor set. And so, you know, there's a sword, there's a shield. Actually, there's a different shield. You didn't have the time to
Shield
switch.
on.
That one, yes.
so it goes.
That
That's
one.
fine.
Looks better.
Yes, it looks better. There's a warrior bow and there's a scepter, all themed around Anubis. And so once you defeat all like 4 different trials of the gods, you're gonna get all 4 weapons, and then this is your chance to get the this really cool and horrifying Anubis outfit.
Oh yeah.
And
He's
those are
literally on
amongst,
fire.
you know, the best weapons in the game as well. So that's definitely something that you know, endgame players will want to go into.
Oh my god.
So cool. I love that he can stand in the water and be on fire. That's like
Yeah.
the coolest
That's
thing.
how badass he
Yeah.
is. Water means nothing to me.
So if you see someone, you know, taking pictures of themselves, you know, wearing this, you know they're a badass.
Yeah.
Because they've been through hell